let's say you're stuck. You know you have to do photo stories in this class, and you've watched the videos that talk about the basics. You know how to do rule of thirds, you know how to vary your angles, you know how to vary your level of closeness, you know some good terminology like framing, like background, like lighting. But when it comes to actually putting the story together, you're just running into a brick wall. So how about I give you a really good shortcut? This is a really easy way out if you feel like you've got some good photographs, but you don't know how to turn them together into a story. So I'm going to show you the basic order of a 5-photo story. Feel free to copy this style of formatting, this style of ordering, for your package of 5 that you'll be turning in this class. And conveniently, you have to turn in 10 and 20 as well. And 10 and 20 are both numbers made up of 5s. So if you want to repeat this in your 10 or do it 4 times in your 20, I think the math checks out there. That'll work just fine. Now you don't have to follow this template, and in no way if you do it this way is it somehow magically better than other ways. This is just really good if you feel stuck. You know you need to put together an order of 5 photographs to tell a story. So where do you start? You start with the scene setter. So what is a scene setter? Well, a scene setter is a photograph sometimes that doesn't have a person in it, and you can do that once, it's just fine. And the scene setter is, like it says, going to set the scene. It's going to give you some geographical clues as to where this photo story is taking place. It can set the tone, it can set the mood, it gives you a good sense of location. Just like if you were describing a play or a movie to someone, you might describe, first of all, where it's set. That may help you tell the story. This is a photo story about a traveling doctor who goes around to different small communities in West Virginia and is a door-to-door doctor. These are small towns that don't have their own doctors or clinics in them that he's traveling to. And so here we have the scene setter. It's a rainy day. It's cloudy outside. This is a very small town. At least you can get a good sense of it's a small town. The fact that there's no real big buildings. There's really only limited stoplights in the distance. This is our scene setter. Also, we get a good sense that he's in a car because you can see the hood of a car at the bottom portion of the photograph, and there's a little bit of vignetting around the edges of the photograph, which indicates maybe that's the windshield. Now, after we have the scene setter, then our second photograph is what we call a medium shot. We already know from talking about varying lengths and angles what a medium shot is. A medium shot is a photograph of someone that encompasses their whole body. And so here we have a shot of somebody, our doctor from a distance. He's got his doctor bag in his right hand and he's walking up to a home of one of his patients. This is a good solid medium shot and transitions well from the scene setter. Remember, the scene setter was clearly in a car. Now the car stopped. He's here to take care of a patient. The third photograph in our series here is the portrait. And by portrait, we don't necessarily mean portraiture work. What we mean is a close-up shot, probably what we would consider distance-wise a close-up or a crash shot, that clearly shows the facial expression or the face of the subject that we're taking the photographs of, or the one who matters most to our subject, or to our topic. Here we have a close-up shot of our traveling doctor in his car. You can see that he's wearing a t-shirt and a sweatshirt, so he's not exactly wearing fancy doctor clothes. You can see he's a little bit older, and you can see that he is traveling with a tiny dog, and the tiny dog is over on his left side, out of focus. But this is our portrait shot. Notice we've been getting increasingly closer to the subject as we go, from the scene setter, which may not even have the subject in it, to the medium shot. Now we're close up on a portrait shot. Then we move into the fourth of our 5 photos, which is the detail shot. Now the detail shot should be a close-up of something or someone that gives a good amount of crisp detail into the shot. So here, if we're thinking about how to do this with a rural traveling doctor, it is a photograph of the doctor with his doctor's gloves on, holding the hand of a patient. We can see that the patient, from the condition of their hand, is an elderly person. Also, maybe from the chair they're sitting on, we get a sense they're maybe a little bit older. That's a rather old print on that chair. But it's a close-up of hands. As if you really want a really cheap way out on this, if you are questioning how to do a detail shot for your story, close-up of hands work really well for this. Whether it's somebody holding a fishing reel, whether it's a doctor like this example, whether it's an auto mechanic, hands make for interesting close-up detail shots. And in your package of 5, this may be one of the 2 photographs along with the scene setter that doesn't necessarily have to have a human being in it. And now finally, with 5, we round everything out with an action shot. And this is where we want a picture of someone actually doing something. It's been sort of motionless and still for most of the photographs so far. We want to make sure we get something in action. So we'll round it out with this, which is a photograph of our doctor with a sort of magnifying headband thing on over his eyes. He's got some swabs, he's got some sort of ointment, and he is performing some sort of medical doctor thing. I don't really know. I've lost the captions to these photographs, admittedly. But it's a good action shot of him in motion. You can tell the way he's got his hands positioned that he's moving around, and it's got good depth to it. It's a good photograph. So that really is the way to structure a photo story if you've got good photos but you don't know how to put the story together. You start with a scene setter, then your medium shot, then your portrait, then your detail shot, and then your action shot. If you feel stuck, follow this template and it will lead you to success.